Okay, Likkutei, back to Likkutei, Drushim Succos, page 158, second column. Okay, the pasuk says, they will draw water with joy, Yeshua, from the wellsprings of salvation. So he says, a whole year they used to pour wine on the Mizbeach, as explained clearly in Chumash, in many places, that the Lama, all the Kabbanis had a wine libation, as it's called. But Sukkos, in addition to the regular wine libation, they also had the pouring of water on the Mizbeach all 7 days. But that is Allah Chalameshim Sinai. That is Shana Mafurish Bad Yibitay Shabaksav, like the abundance of Akroi. The Gemara says, because one time in the Kabbanis of Sukkos there's an extra mem, and then there's an extra yud, and another place says an extra mem, which is mayim. So from there the Gemara says, but really it's halacha Moshe Sinai. It's not mentioned anywhere in Chumash clearly to pour water on the Mizbeach during Sukkos. And yet the pouring of the water was done with a great simcha, like it says, okay? The Gemara says whoever didn't see the simcha of Simchat Beit HaShoeivah never saw simcha, and so on. So yeah, he's out there, but it says we need to understand, if it's such a great thing, what's the reason? Why isn't it Taka mentioned in Chumash clearly? If it's such a great inyan, the simcha was greater than any other simcha, so why doesn't the Torah say clearly, pour water on the Mizbeach? In order to understand this, we first need to understand what the wine pouring was, what the wine libation was, and then we can understand Simchat Beit HaShoeivah. As it's known, the Bina, that the level of Bina Eim Abanim Simcha. Okay, like it says Eim Abanim Smecha, Bina, like it says Eim Habanim. Banim is Bina, meaning Bina is the level of Simcha. Why? Ki Simcha Gili Ahelim. Because when do you have Simcha? Simcha is an outward show of joy, right? Tainu, pleasure, is not necessarily revealed. Simcha is revealed. So when Simcha is revealed, therefore Simcha comes from the level of Bina, where he understands and reveals the depth of Chochmah. When he understands it, I'll explain in a second. Meaning like this. We know wine causes Bina. Wine causes Simcha. Yayin is Samach Levavenish. David HaMelech says in Tehillim. Wine makes a person happy. Water doesn't. Okay? Therefore, wine is the level of Bina, but before you understand it, that's like the level of Mayim, Kabbalah's oil, acceptance of the yoke, that doesn't cause Simcha. When you understand something, then you realize it, you understand it. So then you can be Simcha. But Mayim is not, it's not revealed yet. And he says, but as long as you don't understand the thing at all, it's still concealed in the Kerech of his Chochmah, and it's not revealed. He won't get happiness. In other words, we know from Kabbalah soil, which you don't understand, you do it blindly, you don't have Simcha. Simcha is when you understand it, then you will appreciate it, you will realize it, then you do it. But he says, yet, the Zohar says that Bina is still the hidden world. Because when it comes out into the child, that's when there's Simcha. They give an example. The Rebbe asks a question, it says in Chassidus the question, a woman's pregnant. Yeah, the whole baby is inside, Even in the 9th month, it's all ready to pop, right? Yet, nobody's saying Mazel Tov, and nobody's excited yet. When the baby is revealed, the baby comes out, that's when everybody screams Mazel Tov. That's when everybody is happy. The baby was completely formed in the 9th month. Look, here and nails there and here and there. But the baby is already formed. What's the big simcha between when the baby comes out? They're all there inside anyway. The answer is, now it's revealed. So Bina is the mother who's pregnant. But the bottom line is, the real simcha is when it comes out into birth, when it comes into midas. When seichel creates emotions, then you have the real simcha. And that's what the Avedus Alaviyim is. The Pasuk says, V'aved Alevi Hu, that the Levi should work, Shamamshich and Bechinas Hu. It says, there's a whole Pasuk, V'aved Alevi Hu, and the Pasuk continues. But Chassidus explains, V'aved Alevi Hu, meaning, what's the Aveda of the Levi? To reveal who. Who means him, distant. You is present. Ata is present. Who is third person. He's not present in front of you. It says in Chassidus, what's the Aveda of the Levium in the Beis HaMikdash? Va'avad HaLevi Hu, the Aveda of the Levi is to reveal the level of who, meaning to reveal the hidden worlds of Elokus, to reveal them openly. The Atik HaMelubish B'chinas Bina, Mehelem Alagiloi, and that's why Ayidei Ashir, Shayoim and Malayayim, which is the level of Bina. And that's what it says, Yayin Am Mesameach, Elokim Vanoshel, it says that wine makes people happy and Hashem happy. Meaning, Shemevi Elokus, Lidei Gilu Lanoshim. It reveals the level of Elokus, Hainu Ayidei Bina. By understanding the greatness of Hashem, to slave nafshi b'Hashem, his soul become inflamed in godliness. The ultimate, the Alter Rebbe is explaining like this: Bina is a level of simcha, but it's not revealed simcha yet. When a person reveals that level of simcha downward, so to speak, it becomes revealed in the world, then you have real simcha. And that's why the Levium's Aveda was to reveal the level of Bina, the level of Simcha, into the world. That the world should feel godliness and therefore rejoice physically. That's the physical wine. Causes Simcha, the Gilei Ahelim. There's a famous Gemara. You can notice a person. You want to know what a person is? It's Bekaisei, Bekasei, or Bekisei. You want to, Yeah, you got it. The Gemara says, you want to know a person, it's when he drinks, when he's angry, or in his pocket. It's a beautiful Gemara. You want to know, the Gemara says, you want to know what a person is? When a person's angry, it's like you're drunk. You lose control. When you push it angry, right, everybody will tell you. The Gemara says, when you're angry, shut up. Because you're going to say stupid things that you'll regret. Because what you say, like this, a normal person under normal circumstances would love to say certain things, but they hold themselves back. Because they're not nice to say to somebody what you really think of them. So normally you hold it back. But when you get angry, it's like being drunk, mamish. You lose your anger. Therefore, the Gemara says, by anger, you just shut up. When a person's drunk, you see the real person. What they realize, they're not camouflaging anything. And because of how a person spends money, you know who the person is. So he says that the physical wine also causes simcha v'gili ahelim. Because when a person's simcha, they will do things that they normally don't do. So, or they'll reveal who you really are.
Is there another word for simcha?
Well, there's sasein, rina, Gila, Rina, Ditza, Cheva, Ava. There's a lot of words. But each one is different.
Simcha in our mind means somebody is dancing and happy. But what you're saying, that's not necessarily what it means.
Simcha is a much deeper level.
It's a really internal joy.
Yeah. But it reveals, you could see that the person is besimcha.
It's revealed.
It's revealed.
Revealed to yourself or others?
Others can also see it.
So water doesn't make you happy.
No.
Because
Well, first he's explaining pouring wine, and then he'll explain how it comes to pouring water. Because both were done on the Mizbeach and the altar.
yeah, but one was thicker than the other, as I remember.
I understand. Yeah, but we'll see.
I mean, the one was thicker than the other. I think it was one.
Yeah, and the Mizbeach, two different holes. There's a bunch of scholars here today. Yeah, the water hole was thinner than the wine hole, because wine is thicker. You need a bigger hole to go down. Yes. So he says, "Achefesh b'nisacha yayin shebachol hashana lebechinas me'adim." But there's also different. Even wine, they poured a whole year wine on the mizbeach, but they poured wine on the mizbeach on Yom Tov too, and even that was different than the rest of the year because Yom Tov is simcha. Me'adim simcha b'frap Succos man simcha seinu shaya bergam ke nisacha yayin was also pouring of wine. So what's the difference between pouring of wine year round and Succos? So he says, he says like this, what we just said. A person could be happy. The other person doesn't even notice it too much. Like when a guy starts dancing out of the clear blue, you see the guy openly happy. But a person could be happy and a person doesn't see it unless you really look carefully, you won't see it. That inwardly he's totally happy. When it becomes effective simcha, as I near the simcha, everybody sees the simcha. When the guy starts dancing with his feet, and he starts clapping, you can't hide it anymore. In other words, even like wine a whole year was simcha, but it wasn't so revealed. Zman simcha seinu, the pouring of the wine was actually an unbelievable simcha. You know, sometimes it works the other way also. The Rebbe once was screaming about something, but something going on there, so, or it could be in 770. But he said, "Why am I screaming? It's not going to do anything anyway. It's not going to do anything, and so why am I wasting my time screaming?" So the Rebbe said that human nature is, if somebody pinches you or hits you, you scream, "Ouch!" Mm-hmm. No, the ouch doesn't do anything. It doesn't make you better. Like, why are you screaming, "Ouch"? It doesn't do anything. So the Rebbe said, but this is human nature. Human nature, somebody hits you, you scream, "Ouch." The Rebbe said, my nature is something terrible, I scream. It's not going to do anything, but this is it. What's the purpose of it? There doesn't have to be a purpose. This is the nature of a human being. That somebody hits you, you scream, "Ouch." So he says, Kach b'chol hashana, the whole year, Ashin is bal me'elukut baruch. Even the whole year becomes affected openly. From melukus seviv mamale, afal pikeinu behelim etzle. It's concealed. Sheira simcha misalim ba'keli magbilos. Because then the simcha comes into a vessel, and the vessel limits the simcha. Ava b'chag Succos near the simcha sulein kol. But in Succos, though, even the pouring of the wine breaks through the barrier of Bakea Keli, breaks the Keli. Because of the greatness. You skip the 3 lines. The Simcha Zu. And this Simcha that becomes open, Warash Gadol is the big Okay? So therefore, just like in Gashmias, a person could be happy, but you don't reveal it. It does not reveal so much. And then you have the Simcha so great, it breaks the barrier that wants to limit the Simcha, and it comes out openly Simcha. So he says, Kain v'yesimi Kain. Even more so is Rinu and Varika Beruchni, is the spiritual dancing. B'shidas is Ishpachas Lifnei Hashem, like it says, Eifanim B'rash Godol. It's a printing mistake. It said B'rosh Godol. It's Rash Godol. Like the Malachim scream with a big noise. That's the pouring of the wine a whole year. It's Simcha, but it's not a revealed Simcha. But Nitzach HaMayin Succos levad. Like you just mentioned, by the way, the Alter Rebbe is saying that he doesn't see the side. He says, pouring of the water on the Mizbeach was into one hole, into one compartment. The blinder would pour into one hole, and the Mizbeach west at the western side of the water. And therefore, the pouring of the water is the level of Bina, like we just said, wine is the level of Bina, but Nitzach HaMayim is the level of Chachma, okay. We know, in fact, the Rebbe asks the famous question based on these Maimorim. The Rebbe asks the famous question, water is not as prominent as wine. We know that. Wine is a special bracha. Wine is a prominent drink. Water is not a drink at all. If you're not thirsty and you drink water, you don't make a bracha. The only time you make a bracha when you're thirsty, then you enjoy the water. So why is it that the simcha of pouring water was much greater than the simcha of wine? It doesn't make sense. Wine is much more prominent than water. So the Rebbe explains this concept, that wine is a level of bina, understanding, because then you appreciate it, you understand it. But Nitzach HaMayim, water, is, like we said, it's colorless, it's tasteless. That's the level of Chachma, Kabbalah soil, acceptance of the yoke. You don't understand it. You do it dry faith. You don't say dry understanding. Well, sometimes you could. It doesn't come into midas. So the Rebbe says, Mayim, the pouring of water, which is the level of Chachma, Chachma is much greater than Bina. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe just says here in one line, he's not done yet, that the ultimate level of Simcha is with water, because water is a much greater level than wine. Wine is the level of Bina. And Mayim is the level of Kabbalah Sol, the level of Chachma, Bittul.
Wine also, isn't it the highest level or optimum level of justice?
Justice?
The red color? No?
It's Gvura, but it's Gvura of Kedusha. What?
The water is chachma, so that means it's only happiness when the chachma is revealed. Same thing, right?
Yeah, but what's greater, Kabbalah soil or understanding?
Kabbalah soil. Only when it's revealed.
Water symbolizes doing it blind faith. Being a wine is understanding. So he said the ultimate level of serving Hashem is with Kabbalah soil. Which, by the way, is more simcha than, okay, he's going to say, but why, it's more simcha than wine. Why? Because wine, which is understanding, is limited based on your understanding. So the simcha is limited in how much you get it, how much you understand it. Kabbalah's oil is basically, I'm breaking my nature, I'm breaking my intellect, I'm breaking my humanity. A person by definition means understand. The first thing a person understands. Understanding is what makes a human being a human being. Das. That's why it's the first bracha after the initial three. The first bracha we say in Shemona Esrei is Atachen Ladon Das, right? Because the first level of a uniqueness of a human being is that he has seichel, and a behemoth doesn't have, a behemoth's instinct. But that's all within the limitation of the person's understanding. Based on how much you understand, that's how much simcha you have. You understand more, you'll have more simcha. You'll understand less, you'll have less simcha. But Kabbalah says basically, I'm breaking my whole existence, which is understanding. I don't understand it. Right? Ask any normal person in the street, does it make sense in human intellect to do something you don't understand? It doesn't make sense at all. It's not human. In fact, in the world, they'll call it subhuman. To do things I don't understand is not human, because by definition, a human being has to understand. Right? That's why people don't, even now, it's freilich in the world. Vaccines forced, not forced. Nobody can force something down my throat. I'm a person, I understand that nobody can force things down my throat. I mean, that's the whole fight going on in the whole country now, right? Yeah or no? Can the government dictate? Can they not dictate? There's a whole Megillah. Because a person, what do you mean? I have to understand. If I agree with it, I'll do it. I don't agree with it, I'm not going to do it. Kabbalah so means I don't agree and I still do it. Which means I'm breaking my whole human limitation of a human being. So in order for me to have the real breaking barriers that simcha usually causes, it's more with water than it is with wine. Because wine is limited based on how much wine, how much understanding I have. Kabbalah is breaking my whole nature. So it's not limited, it's unlimited. Therefore, the real simcha, the Rebbe explains, what the Alter Rebbe is saying here, can only come from a level of mayim, which is greater. Chochmah is bittul. Kayachma. Chochmah is bittul. Bina is not bittul. Bina is I understand. I understand more, I'm more. I understand less, I'm less. Chochmah is bittul. There's no me, there's no you, there's no nobody. It's God. So it's a much greater level of simcha because you're breaking more barriers. Okay, so he says, and that's the level of Kehanim and Leviim. In the Zayar, the Yayim is Sitra Livoyasa. He says, in Zayar, wine is the level of Levi, Visitra the Kana Mayayin Slidl in the hidden. Why Kiteva Amayim? Because what the Zayar says, Alter Rebbe is quoting the Zayar. Wine is Leviim, Kehanim is Mayim. Why? Kehan is Chesed. Oyev Shalom Reidav Shal Aaron HaKehan was Chesed. Therefore, Chesed is water. Because water comes down. Like Chesed comes down. Wine is red. Red is Gvuda. So therefore, it says in Zayar, Kehanim is a level of Mayim. Leviim is a level of wine. Therefore, Leviim saying Shira, ain't Shira Elal Yayin, the Gemara says. Shira has to be on Yayin. Why? Because Leviim who sing, the level is the level of wine.
Wow.